You've said, though, has already started. So when it comes to the signings this summer, the way Man United are doing it is very well documented in a couple of articles in The Athletic and a number of other outlets that you could tell have been given this information by Man United. The way we're now operating is this. The manager, this is the same at most of the clubs you're talking about. The manager will say, I think we really need a new centre-back or we really need a new winger. The club will then bring a list of players that the football decision makers believe meet the threshold of the club. So it might be we need a new centre back, and they say, I'm just making these names up here. They say, right, Saliba's on the list, Van Dijk's on the list, and Gabriel's on the list. The manager then gets to pick which one of those he wants. And I quite like that methodology because it gives the manager, head coach, an element of control, but he's only getting to pick from players that have met the threshold of your scouts, of your key decision makers like your Dan Ashworth. This is what started in the summer. So that's the way we were operating from the beginning of life under Ineos. So for me, everything you've said is right. That's exactly what we've got to do. No football club in 2024 should be building its model in the identity of a singular manager. It's why I keep saying to Arsenal fans, I understand you want Arteta to be successful. But I think if you do sack him now or at the end of the season, you point an Alonso or an Inzaghi as an example. If they're better than him, which many think that he is, let's just speak objectively about this right now. I think you guys will continue challenging. Slot has come into Liverpool. It's like if you didn't know Slot was on the touchline, it's not like they've changed managers. Some teams, like Flick going into Barca, you've seen them get better because Flick is just a better head coach, as an example. So there's nothing you said that I disagree with at all, LB. That is the way Man United need to operate. But because all those things you've said are already in place, that's why I've got an air of confidence. Now, equally, I know this squad ain't ready to challenge for the league. I know a lot of players have got to go. But where I push back a little bit is we are still better than 14th. We got outplayed by Coventry in an FA Cup semi-final. We got through by a toenail that stopped them from being offside. I believe we have better players than Coventry. We get outplayed regularly by teams in relegation battles last year, this season. I believe we have superior players and squads to those. So I still expect Almiron to get us playing football this season in a way where maybe barring going away to Arsenal, Liverpool and City, I still want to feel this within a few weeks that we have got a genuinely good chance of winning and dominating these matches. I think the squad's still good enough to do that. Also, I want him to try and win trophies this year. We know this squad can win trophies. Ten Hag won too. Everything is salvageable. We're in the League Cup. We're obviously in the FA Cup. And look, we've had an awful start in Europe, but we're still in the playoff bits. We could still qualify. We can still win that tournament. So for me, it's a case of, yes, it's going to take time to get us to Man City's level, Champions League winning level. But in the short term, I think we can win trophies while improving, and we have the squad to do that, and we can keep bettering it at the same time. So the standards shouldn't be so low as, well, let's go 4 or 5 years without winning anything. It's okay if the football looks pretty. I think there has to be a happy medium here. Good football, progression on the field of play, improving the league position, improving the win percentage. But I think we've got to aim to still pick up those trophies as well. We're Man United. We're the biggest club in England. We're one of the biggest clubs in the world. And I think personally those standards are in place by our new owners. And I would say, boys, that's why I'm excited. There is a little fear that it doesn't work. There is, because you get new owners and you hope that this
do
is
you
now
have
the
fear,
beginning
though?
of a new era.
Can I ask you a genuine question?
Are
you not at the point where you're just like, well, you're 14th. It can't get any worse. Like, be serious. Like, it can't get any worse. Surely this is the bottom. It's the only way is up. No, you can't get any lower than 14th. But you won 3 games in the league. Like,
no, we might not be able to drop any lower in the league. When I say fear, because I've look, I have to be very balanced about this. I think Ineos are doing a lot of the right things. That could be because, though, what they're doing is exactly what I've been screaming at this camera for 10 years to do. Football decision makers, don't build it around a manager, etc., etc., etc. We're doing so many of those things. So I'm sitting here and there's part of me that's really excited. But this is just my nature. Whenever I get good news, it could be a sponsor wants to sponsor the Terrace. I'm like, I love that company. I love that product. I'm really excited. I try not to get too excited because I feel like fate will take it away from me for being too excited. So I'm someone that, do you get where I'm coming from? I always like to tread
No,
carefully.
100,
That's just me as a
100%.
person. But in terms of could it get any, the only thing that could go worse is we get relegated. But I just don't quite see that happening. But outside of that, the only way from here really is up. If we're being honest,
Manchester United, in my opinion, with Amorim, I think now should be going for trophies like they always do. To be fair, Europa League, both domestic cups. I think these last 2 seasons, you've obviously won those, but in the league, you just haven't been good enough. Your league form just simply has to improve. And I think it will naturally now that you've got a new manager, because I genuinely do believe, as much as I agree with LB that your players are not outstanding, I disagree that it was just them that aren't good enough. I think Matt Ten Hag is just abysmal, isn't he? Let's be real, right? So I think that you can go now to a respectable position. But what is a respectable position for Amorim to be expected to do? In my opinion, I think that if you finish the season, he's got pretty much 30 games now to prove that he's the right guy in the league. I think now, if you finish below City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Villa, and Chelsea, I don't think you can be too annoyed at that. If you start finishing lower than that, below Spurs, below, let's just say, a Newcastle, chucking like a Brighton or a West Ham or someone random like that, I think then you're starting to think, what's happening here? Like, because really, when you look at the league table, you ain't that far off of the Champions League spots at the moment because it's so bloody early, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think there needs to be a realistic expectation, but there does need to be an expectation at Manchester United. One, because you're one of the biggest clubs in the world. You don't just go now, well, do you know what? It's 14th. Just get us anywhere and just try and get us playing a style of play. I think there needs to be more than just that expectation, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I don't expect us to catch the top 3. Villa are probably, again, Villa have got a 7-point gap over us, and they are really good. They've lost 1 game all season. Chelsea are looking really good. They might be hard to overtake, but look, we beat Chelsea this weekend, which, by the way, if the reports are true that he's going to manage us this Sunday, we will beat Chelsea at Old Trafford this Sunday. There is no doubt in my mind. Call it new manager bounce. Call it the noise. I mean, 75,000 people.
Clip that, LB. Should we get that clip?
Clip it. KJ, clip it up. If Ruben Amorim is managing us this Sunday against Chelsea, we will win that game. I'm not saying he'll have his style implemented. I'm not saying that Chelsea are bad. I'm just talking about the feeling that will be in that stadium, the excitement, the noise, the adrenaline. The players will undoubtedly. There's a reason that Chelsea fans yesterday.
Don's clipped it already. Don's in here clipping it.
Don, clip it, Don. But then there's a reason why literally yesterday, every Chelsea fan in that group chat, most of the Chelsea fans that super chatted were all going, fuck's sake, why has it got to be this week before you play us? If Chelsea fans are saying that, it is not Don, ironically, it is not delusional that I think we'll beat you this weekend when your own fans, Don, are panicking. The point I'm really making is this, though. If we beat Chelsea this weekend, we're 3 points behind them and they're in 5th. So therefore, to your point on expectations, I expect us to finish above West Ham, Newcastle, Bournemouth, Fulham, Brentford, Spurs, Forest, Brighton. I expect us to finish in front of all those 8 clubs that are ahead of us right now. Chelsea and beyond that, it's harder because they're very good teams. But if we're only 3 points behind Chelsea after game week 10, with the start we've had, for me personally, we could finish ahead of them. I'm not saying we will, but we should be pushing to do that.
Chelsea's, so I think your squad's as good as Chelsea's.
I don't think their midfield's better than ours, but I think people are undercooking Man United squad because of how bad Ten Hag has had us looking. You got to remember, this is we bashed them up. We've bashed them up a lot of times in the last couple of years with this manager because they had poor coaches, right? So to their point, yes, they signed some good players in the summer, but their whole sort of thing was, yeah, but we had good players, but we were getting beat because we had a bad manager. You guys have all been celebrating how bad my manager is for 2 years, and we still beat those same players, also with a bad manager. So the idea that it's inconceivably true that we couldn't finish ahead of them, or we don't have a squad that's at least equal to them, I think's wrong. I don't think that if they're better than us.
I think their midfield and their attack's better than yours, too. I've got to be honest.
If it's better than ours, I'm telling you now, it's marginal. They are not light years ahead of us, and that's just because league position in the last few years, the fact we've beaten them many times in the last few years, and the fact that we're literally a handful of points away from them right now. So that doesn't tell me they're a side that are, Man City, they're 12 points ahead of us in that same time. They are that much better than us. But yeah, look, Chelsea will be a hard team to catch from this point. Do I think it's absolutely impossible? No. But Chelsea are in fifth. I'm not talking about winning the league. I'm talking about maybe coming fifth. That's possible this year. But top six, I think, should be a genuine target from this point for us. We're 5 points behind it, and I think we have a better squad. And listen, do we actually have a better manager than all the teams that are above us? On paper, yes. Does he translate that to the Premier League? Only time will tell, but we've got to have those expectations on him to do that. So, yeah, I'm feeling confident ahead of this weekend. Chelsea, beware. We're going to beat you on Sunday if Almarin's our manager.
I think it's a big. That's a big one, really, because Chelsea. People are starting to take them a bit more seriously now, and they're sitting in fifth, point off of Villa. If they can go United at Old Trafford with a new manager bounce and get a win, especially if they can get a convincing win, that's huge for them, and obviously that would be shocking for United at the same time. So. Nah, it's a big game this weekend, man. Listen, I think United now. I think Amarim's coming in there. There's a lot of pressure on. Like you kind of mentioned it earlier. You can't just walk in and just be like, oh, chilling and that. Like this guy's got to walk in. Like we're only 9 games into the season, and he's only 6 points, 7 points off of the top 4. Like I don't think you'll get top 4 because I don't think the team's good enough. But like it is doable. It's not like a mad crazy thing to say. So he's got to go in there now, Amarim. Yeah, he's got to get a style of football implemented straight away. I think that would be the best thing for him. If I was like his advisor, yeah, and I knew about what was going on at United, the first thing I'd be saying is, right, these United fans haven't seen a style of play at Old Trafford for 3 years. Probably going on longer than that, but under Ten Hag, nothing for 3 years. Get a style of play. Get a ball knocking the ball. Knock it around with pace. Play out from the back. Take risks, blah, 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 blah. Yeah? And then go from there. And the results will come because you are right. As much as the team's crap, yeah, you're not 14th. I think you might be anywhere between 9th and sort of 6th, 5th, maybe.
I thought you were going to go 9th to 14th.
I'm not that shameless, bro. I'm not that shameless.
Don here says marginally these men ain't even scored 10 goals. The problem here, Don, is you're now hypocrisizing your own logic from last season. You backed your squad, you backed your team, because you put it down to you having a terrible manager. What I've not seen from you, Don, on any stream about Man United in the last year is you defending Ten Hag because these players were good enough but were therefore letting him down. You were ripping into Ten Hag at every single opportunity about how bad a coach he is, how bad a manager he is, how awful he is. And I've heard you say on many streams, Terry, I get it. We had it with Poch, we had it with Poch, we had it with Poch, we had it with Poch. So how is it a stretch to suggest that a team, by the way, that's this squad that's finished ahead of you 2 seasons ago and came third, by the way, in the league, has won 2 trophies in the last 2 seasons, more than you, by the way, and is only a handful of points behind you now after our worst start ever in Premier League football history. If you put your logic into this from last year, which you and I have agreed on simultaneously for over 14, 15 months, that your manager last year and my manager last season and the start of this year have held us back massively. Why is it such a delusional call? Because that is what you're suggesting with the laughter. Because we've only scored 10 goals, that we are not. You could be marginally better than us, but do I think you are light years ahead of us? Do I think there is no comparison? Do I think there is clear blue water between our squads and our teams? No, I don't. Because clear blue water, in my opinion, is what I would consider to be the difference between Man United and City. What I'd consider to be the difference between Arsenal and Man United, a team that will probably again this year finish 20 plus points ahead of us. If Chelsea finish ahead of us this year, what's it going to be? 5 points, 6 points? That doesn't strike me as a team that is hugely better. You could be better, but I think it's marginal.